Hi guys, you're right. So I just wanted to run through a couple of points about the pre-consolidation. The first point is just you need to get them to close themselves on it. If they agree with what you say and they can repeat the information back to you, the probability of them actually switching increases massively. Because the more that they can agree themselves, the more they're actually going to believe it in their head as well. So, the more you say something, the more you believe it. It's the same kind of thing. So if you're just saying to them, like, would you rather pay more or less for the same thing? Less, right? And you're closing it for them, they don't really want to switch, do you know what I mean? So you need to make sure that they close themselves. And the way you can do that is through, first of all, strategic pauses. So, it's a silly question, but if that £100 was in your hand right now, would you put it in your pocket or keep giving it to your supplier? And I'll just pause. And then for body language, I shrug my shoulders as well. So would you rather that in your pocket or give it to your supplier? Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure as in it's an obvious answer. It's a silly question, but would you rather pay more or less for exactly the same thing? And then I'll give a little shrug like that and I'll say more or less. And these little body actions and those strategic pauses kind of make them answer the question for you. Do you know what I mean? And it's always an obvious answer, so they're always going to say the same thing. And to get them to close themselves as well, another thing is you need to build the greed as well, because the higher the greed, the more chance they are to agree with you. Now, the way you're going to need to build the greed is through my second point, which is parasuggestion. So you need to plant that seed in their head and watch it grow. You know what I mean? You need to draw them to your way of thinking every single time. So let's say they've got kids running around. I'd be like, so don't get me wrong, £60 isn't gonna take you to the Bahamas and back. But if that was in your hand right now, would you spend it on your kids or keep giving it to your supplier? I shrug my shoulders. And then that little comment right there just automatically in their head thinks, okay, cool, yeah, I'd much rather spend it on my kids. And in their head they've got a picture painted, or if they or if they want to go on holiday, do you know what I mean? You can be like, oh, that 60 quid isn't going to change your life, but it still go towards a holiday at the end of the at the end of the summer. And you just always want to be creating this picture in their head, and this just builds the greed massively. So when it comes to the actual call itself, they're way less likely to cancel then. And the final thing as well is just win them over. just completely win them over as well, because if they like you, they're way more likely to listen to you and trust what you say as well. And the easiest way to do this is just see factors throughout the pitch. Just make sure you're always keeping eye contact. If you do break eye contact, move your whole body with it as well. So it's so I've been speaking to a lot of the neighbours, so you're purposely moving your body when you're breaking eye contact rather than just doing awkwardly. And just maintain C factors throughout the whole pitch. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's just like anything else. If you can win them over, get them to close themselves and just create that picture in their head, it makes it a whole lot easier as well. And I'll run through what I actually say with pre-consolidation as well. It's just exactly what I think it was Jake McCall, was it, or someone from Liverpool office was on a call with him yesterday, and he gave awesome information. I literally just applied that and it worked so well. So what I need to do now, I need to pop you on the phone to Money Expert. I just want to make sure I didn't have you in a headlock, make sure I explained everything right to you as well. They're basically just going to ask if you're over 18, if you pay the bills, make sure you don't need any care or assistance with the call, and then they want to make sure that you're switching from your current supplier, who is, and then they name who it is, and you're switching to, and then they'll name who they're switching to. And how much were you saving again? And they'll be 60 quid. I'll be oh great, what are you going to spend that 60 quid on? And they'll be I don't know, I might, treat myself down the salon or something like that, or whatever they say. It's just great. So you're constantly building that picture in their head. And then once they tell you what they want to spend that money on, then you say, they're also going to need a verbal yes, just to allow us to take care of the switch for you. And then they'll also explain the 14-day cooling off period you have as well. Cool? And I'm just constantly nodding. And then when I put them on the phone, when they phone back, as they're phoning back and they're about to answer their phone, as I'm about to walk off, I'll shake their hand and I'll say, remember me when you go to the salon, or remember me when you're spending that 60 quid on holiday. And I'll just add that tiny little comment in just before I leave, so when they're actually on the phone to them, all they're thinking in their head is what they're going to do with the savings. So when it comes to the actual call, they don't really listen to the people, they just say yes. So yeah, I think those are the points that have been working for me. Cool.